Hello there! This week I finished my second game of Kill Team on TTS with my own miniatures and it was awesome. So I thought I'd make a little tutorial how to help you get from this to this without losing your mind. The first thing you will need is the KIRI Engine app. In theory it's free, in theory everything I will show you can be achieved with just the free version, but I ended up subscribing for a month and I'm glad I did. First, you can't upload more than 70 pictures, which is not a problem, just requires a little planning ahead. Secondly, you're limited to 3 free scan downloads per week, which could mean a fully working elite team in just 8 days. Thirdly, and this is what got me, you are limited to using the phone. So you don't have access to the KIRI web app, but have to use the app on your phone for taking pictures and uploading them. It's not terrible, but you run out of patience much quicker than you run out of free downloads, while you are hunched over your phone like a mad scientist creating iteration after iteration of this. And even though I will try to save you from the sleepless nights I had dreaming about this, prepare yourself for the possibility that your first scans might not initially turn out perfect. For my setup I used 2 semi-transparent umbrella lights that came with my green screen set. The pros like Clostry have a small photography light box, but you don't have to go full hipster on this. The keyboard is indirect. Find a way to illuminate your room well without casting hard shadows on your miniatures and you should be fine. In the app it says you can hold an object in your hand and take pictures from different angles. Don't. Especially for my drones it would have been awesome to have this feature, but at least in my case it just didn't work. I first used a cookie box and rotated the lid on top of it, and then I borrowed one of those IKEA things which I still have here. Sorry mate. But yeah, that was just perfect, except for the surface. Anything reflective, transparent, even shiny causes problems for the AI to figure out what's going on. A couple of my guys have quite reflective helmets and I ended up having to perform brain surgery in Blender to save them. To avoid this nasty white stuff underneath arms and weapons, hold your camera as low as any possible. I flipped my phone upside down to take pictures from foot height, slightly pointing up. Do the entire circle, around 20 pictures is good. Quality beats quantity. Pay extra attention that your focus is spot on. If you have long weapons or something sticking out over the base, go back with your phone a bit if necessary, but make sure that the foreground is really sharp. Those pictures will be the texture of your model. If it's blurry, it stays blurry. Once you've finished your circle, do another one from slightly higher up, and then a third one eventually from like 45 degrees downwards or something. When you're done, put a name that actually describes what you were doing in the scan, in the photos, so you remember which worked and which didn't. Then activate AI object masking so the engine gets rid of the service for you, and then click Create 3D Model Now. The second program you will need is Blender. It's completely free, massively powerful, but don't worry about any of the advanced stuff. You don't need to understand anything, just follow a couple of steps and you'll be fine. In the video description I put a link to a Blender project file I got from Clostry. Open that, pick your corresponding base size and bring it to ground level. Then click File, Import, Wavefront Object, and import your 3D model object file that you downloaded from KIRI. It usually is never anywhere close to the base, so right click it, set origin, geometry to origin, and then rotate with R, scale with S, move with G until your miniature's base disappears into the reference base. You can rotate the camera by holding the middle mouse button, scroll to zoom, hold shift and middle mouse button to move laterally. What's also really useful is the 2D view you get by pushing random numbers on the numpad. Once you got the position right, the next job is to cut off your base. You can do that right below the feet. I decided to keep my base and melt it later into a proper reference base in Tabletop Simulator. However you want to do it, the tool for that is called Bisect and you can find it by pressing Tab. Make sure all your miniature's nodes are selected by pressing A and then draw a line where you want to cut. Select what part of the line you want to be gone and voila! Before you're ready to export, however, we need to reduce the quality a bit. TTS only allows for 3 MB object files and even that is way too much to be useful. So press Tab again to leave the edit mode, delete the reference base, we don't need that anymore, select your miniature and find the little tool icon on the right side. Then select Decimate and look at the number at the bottom. We are aiming for a face count of around 20,000 when you start seeing subtle changes in your miniature without complete deformation. Click Apply in the drop-down menu, right-click your miniature, shade smooth, and you won't even notice the difference. File, Export, Wavefront Object, and we are ready to go to Tabletop Simulator. Once you're in there, just load a random table where you want to work on, and then click Objects, Components, Custom, Model, and place one of those on your table. In the dialog box for model, select your object file that you just exported and choose to upload it into the cloud, so your opponent doesn't need access to your hard drive to see your file. As diffuse image, select the one in the folder you downloaded from KIRI, also upload that one. The collider you can just leave empty for now, we'll have to do that anyways when the base is attached, so that comes later. Go to the materials section and bring everything down to 0. Import, and it looks kinda shit, doesn't it? Well, the model is nice, but the colors don't match the light of the terrain. So go back to Windows and open your favorite image editor. I'm using GIMP, which is also free. And play with the colors, saturation, contrast until you're happy, and all miniatures look more or less the same. To apply the new texture, right-click your model, Custom, and then like before just select that different image as your diffuse image. Upload that one into the cloud as well. Wait until the upload actually finished and then press Import. Cancel in that little dialog box so the entire table doesn't get reloaded. And there you are. Before the last step, you might have seen that my miniatures have these cool glowing eyes or lenses or whatever those are. To make those, I created another custom model and then uploaded our beloved reference base. As image, I just filled a square with this cold blue color. The secret sauce is not in that image itself, but in the material settings. The presets up there don't matter, don't worry about those, but increase the specular intensity to something higher than 1, and your material will start glowing. Well, it doesn't emit light as a custom Unity asset bundle would do, but I tried a couple of those light effects and they are buggy as hell and just eat your opponent's video memory, especially if you bring an entire team of those to the board. Last step, bases and colliders. I created these with the reference base and some custom materials I found. Have a look at the workshop, there are many options, really cool stuff. Just make sure the size is right. Lock them in place your miniature on top and lock that in place as well. And then use the gizmo tool to lower them into the, well, onto the base, in my case into. When you're done, use the combine tool to attach one to the other. Whatever you click second becomes the main object, but it uses both combined objects for collisions, and that's not good. You might have seen this problem before where you can't get close enough to a door or some other terrain feature with bad colliders. So you'll need a custom collider for that. Guess what I'll be using? So yeah, from here, just follow the yellow brick road, or the link in the video description, whichever you prefer, to command mode to get full functionality on your guys, with wounds and characteristics and stuff. And that's it, good job. Oh, and my Pathfinders, yes, you can have them, they are also down in the video description, just make sure you agree to the terms and conditions.